Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is an honor and a privilege to once again be with the Dar es Salaam family in service of all of us really being here on Hajj this year, inshallah. Now, I know that you all have had a number of extremely informative sessions with Brother Azhar and some of the other Dar es Salaam team. You all should already be on WhatsApp groups and receiving a lot of very valuable information there. So this is a session, as Ahmed said, to go over the logistics and kind of do a day-by-day walkthrough of the itinerary of the movements and hopefully answer a lot of the frequently asked questions. Be patient with me if some of this information you've heard once. I remember my first time on Hajj, it was helpful to hear things once and twice and three times. So inshallah, you'll be patient with me through those bits. And as you have questions, please just jot them down on the side. As Ahmed said, we'll be pausing at the end to answer questions. Hopefully in the next hour or so, we will answer most of those questions that will arise by the time we reach the end. But for those that don't, inshallah, we will make time and space to answer those. I will now share my screen. And there we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes?
see them. Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, so we are starting. As you know, this session is scheduled for an hour and a half. We'll try to use the first hour or hour and 15 minutes to walk through the deck, which is, like I said, a detailed kind of itinerary review. So this program or this session is specifically for the Almuaisim packages. So this is Mecca First, 14 days. So on the next slide here. Oh, it's not. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by answering some important questions that we found are on people's mind coming into the call so that you don't have to be distracted thinking about them. We'll answer them, and if you have further questions on these, again, we'll get to those at the end. So kind of 5 areas here. The first is around the flight ticket updates. So folks who have group flights, those are still currently being processed, and those should be, as of now, actually, they should start being posted on Nusuk. Sorry, not now, by the end of next week. And if you have not received them, please do reach out to us. Yeah. So nobody should have received them yet, but by the end of next week, you should be having information on those through the app or through email. And if you do not hear anything by the end of next week, please do reach out to us. For the Abdul Latif Jamil groups and the airline date issues, so we've been in touch with them regarding issues around the dates. We know that some of you have had some challenges with Nusuk and the airlines, and we are working very closely with them to resolve those. And we do expect, final answers by Monday, inshallah. So if you just sit tight for a couple of days, we hope to have all of those answers for you. For those of you who are arriving in a different city than where your package starts, so for the group flights, you will be provided with a free train or bus transfer by the service provider. So if it's a custom flight, there's guidelines for purchasing transfer options will be provided through the service provider once we gather everyone's details. Otherwise, you always have the option of booking your own domestic ticket or your own domestic transfer within Saudi. For the guides, for rooming, and for other updates, we are collaborating with the service providers to finalize these for you. We'll be sharing these updates periodically with an aim to provide kind of the comprehensive information by the 20th of May. And for visa concerns, if by the 15th of May, of course, you haven't received your visas, we'll send out a survey to identify anyone that's still missing, and we will then, of course, escalate accordingly. In the past, we have had late visas. We've had visas for family members arrive at different times, but alhamdulillah, we uh, we haven't faced an issue where a visa doesn't arrive in the end. So we faced similar issues last year, again, in terms of delay, in terms of fragmentation, in terms of people within the same family or group reaching it at different times, receiving them at different times. But alhamdulillah, in the end, everyone had their visas. Um, so now I'll kind of walk into, actually, there's one more thing I actually want to go over before I get into the details, which is around wheelchairs, because we have gotten a number of questions around those. So after extensive discussions with our partners, we've identified the following options. So for those who do need a wheelchair, there is the most durable option of bringing your own. So if you're dependent on a wheelchair and you already have one, we recommend that you bring it along with you. Um, it'll avoid any inconveniences. It'll avoid any delays. Now, this will still require someone from your family or someone whom you've already agreed with who can assist you by pushing the wheelchair. Um, in terms of assistance and having a volunteer that will push, that is not being offered. So option one is bring your own wheelchair and have someone whom you've already agreed with to assist you by pushing it. Option number two is if you don't want to travel with your wheelchair, you can purchase one when you arrive, and they're around $100. And you would purchase one and use it for the entire duration of Hajj. Uh, if that's the choice you make, best thing to do is once you arrive Mecca, not Jeddah, but once you actually arrive to Mecca, you can go to any of the local pharmacies and purchase one. Um, I know that through Nusuk and through the service providers' communications, they have offered some temporary solutions. But in our experience, there are frequent shortages. And the most durable, reliable way, again, is to have your own wheelchair and to have your own family member who can assist in pushing. Um, The final option here is around the electric wheelchairs. So for those who need assistance and are traveling alone and don't have someone to push them, we have come to an agreement with an electric wheelchair provider in Mecca, and they have offered two rental packages. One is just over 1,000 riyals, 1,150 riyals, and that will give you a dedicated electric wheelchair from the 4th of Dhul Hijjah to the 13th. And the second option is a shorter duration. You will have it from the 7th of Dhul Hijjah to the 13th, and that is for 830 riyals. Everything I said about wheelchairs now you should have already received in your WhatsApp group, but I thought I would go over it one more time. Also in the WhatsApp group, you should have received or by email of a form that you could have filled out indicating whether or not you wanted to secure a reservation for a wheelchair. Now, moving on to the itinerary. Um, Before I get started here, I'll just say something that you might have heard again around our role, right? So as you know, the service providers are local Saudi companies, and our job is to be that layer between, we work very, very, very closely with them. Alhamdulillah, we have a fantastic relationship, a fantastic partnership with them, is to work between them and the Hujjaj to ensure that you have the smoothest, easiest, most pleasant Hajj experience possible. Having said that, Hajj is a very, very, very dynamically programmed event. So you have organizing that happens at the government level that then trickles down to the service providers, and then you have ourselves working to buffer you from, that dynamic element and some of those, kind of potholes that happen along the way. So our job really, like as I said, is to be kind of your first point of contact to ensure kind of that everything runs smoothly and that you are buffered from some of that chaos that happens on top. So we have three different service providers that we are working with in regards to this Almuaisim camp Makkah First 14-day packages. We have Al Burj, And for Al Burj, we have two packages that this presentation is relevant for. That's Al Burj AB 1000 and Al Burj DS Deluxe B1. Then for the second service provider, Sira Moasim Group, we have MAW Elite DST 00030. And finally, we have Abdul Latif Jamil, and we have the Hajj Jamil Crown Almuaisim 1. So just let everyone take a moment here and just kind of check and make sure that you are one of these four packages that are listed. If you're not, you're still welcome to stay. Some of the information may not be relevant. It may actually be confusing if it's not the same as the program you're registered for. You're welcome to stay. But the details and the specifics here are for these four programs. So for the delivery of Hajj services, as I mentioned, the responsibility lies squarely on the Hajj service provider companies in Saudi, right? So the three that we just mentioned on the last page, in our cases, it's Al Burj, it's Sira, and it's Abdul Latif Jamil. So those primary responsibilities are all things airline, right? They are all of your accommodations. They are all of your movement and transportation from the moment you arrive until the moment you depart for everything that's part of the program. It doesn't cover elective shopping trips or second umrahs and such, but all movements and transportation that are part of the Hajj program. It covers all services in the camps during the manasik of Hajj, and much more. And as I mentioned, Dar es Salaam is working cooperatively in a supporting role to, in partnership with these service providers to make sure that you have the smoothest, most comfortable, and inshallah, most spiritually guided journey that we can offer you. As I mentioned earlier, Hajj is a super dynamic kind of event here. And so we put this disclaimer up, just as a matter of process to say that, look, there's, in order for Hajj to happen, there are so many independent service providers, from airlines to transportation companies. We have governments, we have food providers, we have, of course, all of the law enforcement, and this creates a very, very, very dynamic environment. Again, we will do our very, very best to navigate that. Alhamdulillah, I look at the Dar es Salaam team and I see folks that, I've been here for 10 years and I'm still in kindergarten next to some of the folks that have been here for 20 and 30 and 40 years. So alhamdulillah, we'll do our very, very best. But of course, there's always that disclaimer that some things are out of our hands. We've already talked about, kind of keeping your questions to the end. We'll make plenty of space to answer those. The focus of this discussion is kind of the itinerary and logistics, and all of the kind of manasik and fiqh questions. There will be sessions for follow-on sessions for, and I'm happy to post what those sessions are at the end of our discussion today, kind of the dates and times. So at the very beginning of the journey, we're going to start kind of at home when you're packing your bags. You'll need essentially three pieces of luggage, right? The first piece is your checked bag, right? And that's kind of your standard checked luggage with a 50-pound max. Your second piece is going to be your carry-on bag, and that's the one that you want to make sure you keep in your possession from the moment you leave your home until the moment you arrive Saudi, because you're in there, you're putting all of your all of your most important belongings. So it will have your ihram in it, it'll have your medication in it, it'll have your, your cell phone chargers, your electronics, whatever it is that you need. It's going to make sure that you pack it into your carry-on and you keep it with you at all times. And kind of the standard weight rules apply, which are the 15 pounds or 7 kilogram limit. Um, as I mentioned, it's really important to keep this with you at all times. So try to board your flights early to avoid any situation where the airline staff is asking you to check those bags. If they do ask you to, resist. Keep them with you. Finally, you'll need a backpack that you're going to use for during the manasik when you're going from Mina to Arafah to Muzdalifah. There's going to be a window of time of, it's more than a day, right? Where you're not going to have access to your carry-on bags or the camps. So we recommend that you bring a bag with you. It will not be provided. And in there, you put your most essential belongings that you'll need for that journey from Mina to Arafah, all day at Arafah, and then back um, to Muzdalifah, and then back to Mina, inshallah. Uh, some tips on how to make it a smooth, stress-free journey. Arrive early. So when we say early, we're not talking about the 3 hour recommendation of the airlines. We're talking 4.5 hours. The way I think about it, my Hajj journey starts the moment I leave my home, and so I think leaving early and creating kind of that stress-free environment. If you have a few extra, if you're there an hour early or 2 hours early and you're all checked in, use those moments to read Quran, to make dhikr, to rest, but get there early. These are all going to be very full flights. So the earlier you get there, the more, the less stressful and the easier I believe the process will be. Um, this is an important note here. If you are traveling on a domestic flight that connects in the US before your international leg to Saudi, when you're checking in, they might ask you if you want to check your bags all the way through to Saudi. Our experience, our advice is don't do that. Um, the reason we say this is there's always a risk of at that transfer point, at that domestic transfer point, that your luggage gets misrouted. Now, if it gets misrouted, it becomes really difficult at that point to recover those bags and get them to you in Saudi. So we found the safest thing is check it to your domestic location, collect the bags, recheck them for your international flight. Um, we've seen situations where if a bag is lost in the domestic connection, as I said, people just don't recover their bags the entire duration of Hajj until they come back to the US. Now, everybody here on this call is a Makkah First program, so this applies for everyone. So for the men, ensure that you have your ihram and your accessories with you in your carry-on bag, right? And you want to prepare yourself physically for ihram at home. So that means doing the trimming, doing the ghusl, clipping the nails, doing all of these things. You want to make sure you do that at home and that you have your ihram towels and your slippers and, all of your fragrance-free toiletries with you. For the men, you'll be changing into ihram in one of two places. If you have a transit, an international transit, before you land in Saudi, you will change your clothes into your ihram towels in that transit city. So if you're traveling on Turkish Airlines, when you are stopping in Istanbul, you will change your clothes in one of the bathrooms or in one of the lounges, and then you will board the plane in a state of ihram. For those who are traveling on Saudi Airlines and have a direct flight from the US to Saudi, you travel in your regular travel clothes. And in the back of the plane, they have a prayer area. And in that prayer area, men can use that to put their ihram on. And we recommend that because it can be a very long flight. Some of them are 10, 11, 12 more hours. And it can be uncomfortable to be in your ihram for that long. For women, we advise you to get into that since your ihram is your clothes, there isn't any specific clothing for a woman's ihram garments, to just be wearing those from the time you leave your home. And as far as the intention, the intention to enter the state of ihram needs to happen prior to the miqat, but I would say as close to the miqat as possible. These flights will all make an announcement as you're approaching it. And for the ease, so that you're not under the restrictions of ihram earlier than necessary, I would advise to, wait until you approach the miqat. And again, the flight will make those announcements. And so as you approach the miqat, that's when you make the intention for in your case it will be Umrah followed by Hajj after you arrive to Mecca. So now arrival into Jeddah. So this is going to be days 1 and 2 for everyone. So this is June 10 and 11th, and that would be the 4th and 5th of Dhul Hijjah. So I would say bring your patience with you. Yeah. We're going to give you estimates on times here, but it's very, very common to have extremely long delays in every single movement in Hajj. From the time you leave your house, I would say expect the unexpected in terms of delays. If things move smoothly, it's a pleasant surprise. And if not, well, you are prepared for it. So immigration and customs may take up to 2 hours. You are responsible to collect your bags and take them through customs. Now, it's really important that if there are any lost luggage items, that you get those reported in the customs hall before you exit, and to ask for a copy of that report. Once you exit the customs hall, you will find our reps waiting for you. So you will see them marked in, I can't tell you exactly what they'll be wearing today, but they will be well marked in terms of the service provider names. So the 3 that we started with here, so Al Burj and Abdul Latif Jamil and Sira, they will be clearly marked and easy for you to recognize. And they will be looking for you and expecting your flights as well. And in all cases, keep your valuables with you at all times in your carry-on. And the reps, of course, will be helping you with your big luggage and taking and loading onto the buses. Now, it's also important to so let me take a step back here and say, we get a lot of questions about what's going to happen with the passports. Previously, before COVID, the passports were surrendered at the very beginning of the trip. Once you kind of exited customs and you went through immigration, they would be surrendered and you wouldn't have them in your possession again until the end of the trip. Last year, that started to change, and the pilgrims kept their passports with them, and on occasional kind of moments throughout the trip, they may have been collected and then returned to you. And we expect something similar this year. But in all cases, regardless of when or how your passports are collected, stay tuned for exactly what's going to happen this year. You always want to keep a secondary piece of ID with you. So for the Canadians, it could be your PR card, could be your driver's license, but you always want to keep a secondary piece of ID with you and preferably on your body at all times. So as you're making your way out of the airport, you would have been met by our team and our guides, and they will direct you to buses. So we'll be using buses to transport from the airport to our Mecca hotels. Transportation is provided by a third-party service provider. And again, we will handle kind of the coordination of guiding you to the buses and the dispatching of them. Departure is usually dispatched according to the hotel destination. Now, the distance from Jeddah to Mecca isn't that far. It's about 45 miles. However, I personally have seen it take as long as I see 5 hours here, and I've seen it take even more sometimes. So patience, patience, patience. And that could be because of delays in loading the buses. It could be delays in dispatching of the buses, leaving the airports. It could be stops at checkpoints. It could be traffic. It could be road closures as you're approaching Mecca, because that happens all the time. And you might be within, you could see the clock tower, but you continue to loop around because roads are closed and traffic is tight and they're not letting one in, and that could last for hours. So the good news is the buses are air conditioned, and hopefully it'll be a comfortable but could be a long ride before you arrive at your hotel. So a little bit about what to expect in the hotel room and check-in process. So both Mecca and Medina, the standard rooms consist of, for the double occupancy, there are two standard beds. Now, in the case of a triple room or a quad occupancy, what happens is they are rollaway beds. They may not be full-size standard. They are rollaways, and that's just kind of how things are. So in the case of a triple, you might have one rollaway bed or one cot and two standard beds. And in the case of a quad, you may have two standard and two rollaways or cots. And we leave it to the occupants of the room, the roommates, to sort out who sleeps where. Always our advice is, you know, uh, you know, kindness and compassion and caring for, the elderly and those that may have special needs or, yeah, so just, maybe there's an arrangement where you can timeshare and rotate, or if there's someone who's elderly who needs it, someone who's kind enough to sacrifice kind of a little bit of comfort for their sake would be appreciated. But we tend not to get involved in those decisions, and we leave them for the roommates to sort. So in Saudi, during Hajj season, the general check-in time is 5 p.m. That's what's quoted. And that's all we can hold them to. We will always make an effort to make the rooms available as early as possible. But the time that they have committed to is 5 p.m. Sometimes it's a little bit later, sometimes it's a little bit earlier. Because as you can imagine, these are batch check-ins. Sometimes you will have groups of 200 and 300 or multiple groups of 200 and 300 that are checking in at the same time, and you'll have a front desk that's absolutely overwhelmed. So the message here is if you arrive early, you will likely have to wait for a room, but we will always do our best into speeding things up and finding ways to make you comfortable if you are in a state where you have to wait. So this group is staying in one of three different hotels in Mecca. So this is an aerial view. As you can see here, this little tiny dot in the center here is the Kaaba, and all of this here is the Haram. So if you look here, the King Fahd Gate and the King Abdulaziz Gate are the two of several, but two of the main entrances into the Haram. And then if you look here, we have the Swiss Hotel and the Swiss Maqam. And then over here we have Anjum. These are you can see they're very close. Anjum is actually the closest hotel to the expansion, right? So it's the quickest entry place to the expansion if you are going to pray. And then Swiss Maqam and Swiss Hotel are also very, very, very close to the two of the main entrances to the older. So we're still on days 1 and 2. So now that we've checked in our hotels and we've gotten our rooms, the first thing that we would do is perform our Umrah, inshallah, perform our Umrah and rest. Now, what we will be doing is organizing schedules where we will have group leaders dispatching at different times throughout the day to lead groups. Now, you have the choice of either joining one of those groups or doing it on your own. For those who have done Umrah before and are comfortable and would rather do it on their own, you're welcome to do that. And if you would like to join one of the groups, that schedule will be published as you're arriving, inshallah. And also, I mean, I'll also add in here that here it says perform Umrah and rest for those who have come from a very, very long journey and are exhausted. Having some rest or having something to eat before you perform your Umrah also is advised. It's important to get familiar with the direction to the Haram, to and from the hotel. It's quite easy. It's I think it's almost hard to get lost. However, there are some things that that are helpful. So to remember the door numbers, the best door numbers, and your group leader can provide you this. Every door has a number, and some doors are for exit only, some doors are entrance only. It'll be very obvious when you're looking at the kind of the traffic flow and the patterns as you're going in, but knowing the closest door numbers could be helpful. And just remembering, be mindful of the landmarks around you as you're, leaving your hotel and returning. Again, it's easy, but as we're tired and we're coming off a long journey, it's helpful to just take extra note of those things. Um, of course, you will always have access to a group leader, uh, and kind of the uh, kind of the main form or the main channel for communication is WhatsApp. So my advice is always here with you, all charge. Always idea to travel with a spare battery pack, so that you're always connected, because that is your lifeline to your family members that you're traveling with, and also to your group leaders. So now that we've got through kind of the first days, day 1 and 2, talk about the next few days, days 3 through 5. So this is June 12th, 13th, and 14th, or Dhul Hijjah 6th through 8th. Um, so number one, of course, is attending lectures, right? We have not released those schedules yet, but you will receive them on WhatsApp. And I find those to be very, very helpful, right? It's now that you've kind of got it, you've arrived in Mecca, you're settled in your hotel, you've done your Umrah. Now is a time to really do two things, is to rest, because the days of Hajj are coming and they are exhausting, and they are also exhausting, but the most spiritually fulfilling and the most rewarding days to come. And so save your energy. Definitely, when you have a chance to get out and to pray in the Haram, go do that, but not at the expense of your health, or your rest, right? The big days are ahead, the days of Hajj. So my advice, rest well, attend the lectures. I find them to be incredibly spiritually uplifting. It's not just about, kind of the spiritual preparation, but it's also a chance to answer. I'm sure they will have sessions that go over. It won't be your first time hearing the manasik, but they will go over them a second and a third time, and it'll be a chance for you to ask questions as they arise in terms of manasik. But then also there's a lot of just very spiritually uplifting lectures that you will attend. So my advice, you'll receive the schedule, attend them. Um, Haram is extremely crowded. So when they're talking about extra time to go to prayers and return, we're talking about, you know, leaving anywhere from, I would say almost an hour before prayer time, right? If you try to leave your hotel at the adhan time, or 20 minutes before prayer, it's almost certain that you won't enter the haram, right? We're talking like an hour before would probably be a good kind of measure there. And as I said, kind of pace yourself, right? It's very exciting to be there. I know that we all can't get over the Kaaba and can't get enough of the Haram. And it's important to get out, but it's also important to save your energy for the most important days ahead. So now we get to the 13th of June. So this is day 4, and this is the 7th of the Hijjah. So this is for the Burj Deluxe B1 and the MAW Elite 00030 packages. These are the shifting packages. Shifting means that you are going to be checking out of your hotels in Mecca on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah. Yeah. So on the 7th, it's important to have packed actually on the 6th, so the night before, you want to have packed all of your belongings for your stay in Mina. So this is your carry-on and your backpack, if you're taking a backpack as well, to pack all of your belongings that you're going to need for all of the days in Mina. Basically, everything you're going to need from that day until you arrive in Medina, right? Again, this is for the shifting packages. So Al Burj Deluxe B1 and MAW Elite 00030. Those who are checking out, pack with you everything that you're going to need until you arrive in Medina. Your checked luggage will be picked up much earlier before your hotel checkout time. It's either going to be very late the night before or very early the morning of the 7th. You'll have specific instructions as we get closer, but you will place your bags outside of your room at the time specified in the message when you do get it, probably on the 6th of Dhul Hijjah. The checkout time of the hotel is going to be after Asr, and between then and the departure, you just get to enjoy the Haram. And the departures will be after Isha prayer and after we have dinner, inshallah. So I think the important reminder here, again, I think we've touched on it, is make sure that all of your valuables, all of your medicines, all of the things that you're going to need throughout the days of Hajj are with you in your carry-on bag, because you will not have access to your checked luggage until you arrive in Medina after Hajj is completely over. Now, for Al Burj AB 1000 and Jamil Crown, these are the non-shifting packages. These groups will have the room all the way through the end of Hajj, right? So all the way up until there's departures for Medina, you will have your room. So you'll still need to pack your belongings for your stay in Mina, Arafah, and Muzdalifah in your carry bags. But your checked luggage will stay in your room. So we will not be doing luggage collections, and throughout the days of Hajj, of course, with the exception of the days of Arafah and the night in Muzdalifah, you will not be returning to your hotel. Your luggage will be in your room and you will have access to it. In your case, the departure is happening on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, right? So the shifting packages leave on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, but the non-shifting packages, those who have their hotel rooms all the way through the departure to Medina, will be moving to Mina on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah after breakfast. Again, the specific timings of the dispatch will happen. You'll receive those over WhatsApp from your group leaders. And in terms of your valuables, we want to make sure that you have a safe in the room, and we advise that you keep all of your valuables in the safe while you're doing the manasik. I will actually take kind of one step back. So let me go up one slide here. So for these two groups, I didn't talk about valuables, and I should have. For those who have valuables here, for the shifting packages, on the 6th of Dhul Hijjah, we will offer a service where we will collect your valuables and keep them under lock and key during the days of Hajj. So if you do not want to carry them with you and you do not want to put in your checked bags that you will receive in Medina, there's a service that we will provide where we will collect on the 6th of Dhul Hijjah, and we will keep everything safe and under lock and key until we arrive back in Medina, and you will receive them there. And again, for those who are on the non-shifting packages, I would just say keep them in the safe in your room. So then the question is what um, backlight, right? So you want a backpack that has your basics, your towel, toiletries, any other essential items that you might need for those who are staying overnight in Mina, right? So this is, your prayer mat, Quran, a dua book, your cell phone charger, medicine, these kinds of things. You'll also need like a carry-on bag that has your change of clothes, right? Your change of clothes, a larger bath towel, your toiletries that are enough to last you during the stay in Mina, um, and any other essential items that you might need. So here, what I want to show you is in the Mina camps, we have in the red over here is the Jamarat. So this is where you'll be visiting on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, and for some of us, the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. This is where the Jamarat is. Now, our camp, because everybody on this call is an Almuaisim camp, is over here. As you can see, it's quite a long distance. Um, it's about, I would say, a 45-minute walk. And so I think you've gotten a message that said, start getting active, start preparing yourself. I think the recommendation was starting to walk between 10 and 15,000 steps a day. Now is a good time to start building up that physical endurance because this is a walk that you will make to and from every day. So it's really like an hour and a half to 2 hours of walking daily. Temperatures are hot. So I think one piece of advice here that we can't stress enough is stay hydrated, stay hydrated, stay hydrated. Um, it's not a difficult walk. The roads are paved and they even have a lot of moving escalators, kind of the moving walkways along the path, but it is still a very long walk to and from. So for Mina, this is day 5. This is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. So this is the day before Arafah. Um, at this point, both the shifting and the non-shifting packages have arrived, and we are staying overnight in Mina. So the setup there is men and women are in separate tents. They're in the same area, but they are in separate tents. So men will not be able to enter the women tents. Women will not be able to enter the men tents, but they will be able, obviously, you're in very close proximity. So you can always, through WhatsApp, agree to kind of meet outside. There are common areas where you can meet, and connect with your family. But they are separate tents, but co-located. In Mina, there is plenty of food and drinks. That's never, inshallah, it's never been an issue, and inshallah, it won't be an issue. Great food and plenty of drinks will be provided. Um, and all we're going to really do on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah is offer our prayers, rest, and prepare for the day of Arafah. Now, Arafah is kind of that's the main event. That's the big day. So on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, when you're in Mina, the best thing you can do is get settled, eat well, sleep well, and just, prepare yourself spiritually for the ninth. Now, in terms of departure times, again, those will be dispatched um, when we arrive. So that schedule will be communicated to you on the day of, um, which is fine because there's really nothing else to be doing there. You will have your own allocated space, probably your chair that folds out into a bed. You'll have your own little area there, and you're going to be resting, reading Quran, making dua, getting to know your neighbors, and once that information comes in, we will start to dispatch the groups for Arafah, inshallah. Now, in terms of again dispatching, so how are we moving from Almuaisim to I'm sorry, from yes, from Mina to Arafah. They are going to be on shuttle buses. I hear really good things about how the shuttle buses are organized this year, dedicated, no traffic, efficient staffing. So fingers crossed that it's as wonderful as we hear it is. If so, I think that'll be a real treat. Um, so we don't own the schedule. When I say we, I mean Dar es Salaam and the service providers don't own the schedules. We are working with the Ministry of Hajj to make sure that we have reasonable slots that keeps our group together. But it is based on a draw system. Um, and the way the dispatching will work is once the Ministry of Hajj has established based on the draw system what our placement is in terms of dispatching. We will communicate that to the groups. We will kind of get the groups and the teams organized, and we will guide you to the boarding areas based on the schedule. So you're not on your own here. We will communicate the schedules, and then you will have leaders or volunteers that will then lead the groups to the transfer areas. Um, it's hard to predict how long that wait will be. I mean, again, it's safe to say it will probably be hours, and part of those hours will be in the tents waiting, and part of those hours will be at the bus stops waiting. Um, but we won't have details until those schedules are developed, probably day of. As I said here, it's your group leader is kind of going to be your main point of contact in terms of departure time and where exactly to meet and such. So stay tuned for more details on that. Now, for those who will be staying the entire night in Muzdalifah, meaning staying the entire night until Fajr in Muzdalifah, there is no need to take any bedding, no blankets, no pillows from Mina. We have a commitment from the service that they will be providing sleeping bags or a mat that will be provided, which is a huge value add because carrying pillows and blankets with you, for you know, I mean, it's several hours, and throughout Arafah can be uncomfortable and can be burdensome. So don't bother with that. They will be waiting for you in Muzdalifah. So on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, which is a big day, this is Arafah. So we're at day 6 of our trip. It is June 15th. It is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. It is the day of Arafah. Kind of what to expect there. These are large tents. So we're large tents, again, separate for men and women. You'll have separate men tents, separate women tents. You'll have industrial AC units. So it is, over the years, I think they've gotten better and better and better about really having a comfortable temperature. Inside, there'll be indoor carpeting. There'll be plenty of space for sitting, for congregational players, for the lectures. In the outside areas of the camp, there'll be what I find to be very beautiful seating areas that are carpeted with seating. You'll have misters. You'll have access to drinks the entire time you're there. There's plenty of drinks, plenty of food. The bathrooms are convenient. They're all North American style toilets. They have showers there. They have toilets there. Obviously, plenty of sinks. Um, it's actually quite comfortable. Again, the reminder here is always stay hydrated, stay hydrated, stay hydrated. Know that there's, some not so wonderful advice that says, well, because of the bathrooms and you want to avoid using them, try not to eat, try not to drink. I want you to know you will have plenty of access to functioning, reasonably clean bathrooms. So eat well, but not heavy. Stay hydrated. because I think that will make a very, very big difference in your experience on the 9th and 10th in particular. Again, Day of Arafah, this is the main event, right? This Al-Hajj Arafah, this is the main event. This is the reason we are all there. And so when you arrive, we will arrive early in the morning, inshallah. And the idea is rest and prepare for the afternoon, right? Get there, sleep, eat, drink, relax. The afternoon really is prime time. So in congregation, we'll be praying Dhuhr and Asr together. There will be a khutbah, so there'll be when I talk about congregational prayers, the women will have congregational prayers in their tents, the men will have congregational prayers in their tents. There will be khutbahs in all tents delivered by the scholars. And alhamdulillah, I saw the lineup and we have brilliant scholars this year, as every year, but alhamdulillah, this year I think it's a very special lineup. And of course, after the khutbah, there will also be plenty of time for individuals to uh, make dua, right? And so this is, as an individual, you can stay in your tent, you can go outdoors, you can go and connect, meet your family, right? There are plenty of common areas. You can meet your family and gather and make dua and spend the day of Arafat together, making dua. And for those who prefer to also be part of group dua being led by the shuyukh and the imams, that will also be available. I think the most important thing here is that we all stay, the Arafah camp will be within a gated compound, and the strong advice is do not go outside. Any camp that the service providers in Dar es Salaam makes accommodation for is all inside Arafah, right? There is this thought sometimes that they need to get to Jabal al-Rahma or they need to get to a specific location in Arafah. We want to be very clear that our entire tent is Arafah and there is no place in Arafah better than the next place. Um, so rest assured, you are in Arafah, and actually exiting the camp is super high risk to get lost. I've seen people get lost. I've seen people get dehydrated. I've seen people get sick. I've seen people really kind of have a very, very, very difficult, unpleasant experience if they leave the camp. So again, the advice, maybe I'm repeating myself here, but stay in the camp. You have everything you need there. And then, of course, you never want to be in a situation where departure time comes and you're lost and you don't know how or where to get to the next mansak. Becomes very, very difficult to to recover from that. So stay in the camp. Now, our plan, inshallah, is to depart Arafah for Muzdalifah after Maghrib. So we will stay in Arafah all the way until the adhan of Maghrib, and then we will start to depart. There will be shuttle buses. Um, there'll be shuttle buses again being dispatched by the Ministry of Hajj. Stay tuned to your group leaders. I think both on WhatsApp group and kind of in person. We will over communicate where we need to be and when we need to, where we need to be, when we need to be there, and how the departures are going to actually flow on the 9th. Most important thing is stay with your group. Of course, when you think about it, however many millions of Hujjaj there are on Arafah, call it 3 million, call it 4 million, whatever the number is. That is the one day and the one movement where everybody is in Arafah and everybody is trying to get to Muzdalifah. So in terms of congestion, it is probably the most congested movement in all of Hajj. So there could be considerable wait times. And although it is Maghrib and it is sunset at that time, it is still quite hot. So stay hydrated. Now, when we arrive in Muzdalifah, we will have our own dedicated area. So we see separate area for our pilgrims. You are not just going to be among the masses. You will be among a lot of people, but they will all be in our programs and our groups. The ground will be carpeted. When we arrive there, as the sunnah. We will be praying Maghrib and Isha in congregation together. You will also have drinks, you will have food, there are access to bathrooms as well. And really all we're going to do in Muzdalifah after we've prayed and we've had something to eat and we found a place to kind of lay our heads and rest is, we're going to go collect our pebbles. This is for Jamarat. So we go collect the pebbles. We're going to need 7 for the day of Eid. And then for every other day after Eid that you'll be throwing, for those that are throwing for 2 days, you will need 21 per day, so an additional 42. And those who are doing ta'akhur and throwing for 3 days, you will need an additional 63. That's on top of the 7 for the first day. As I mentioned, we have bathrooms within that private area. So they are basic, but they are bathrooms. And just like Arafah, it's probably one of the easiest and worst place to get lost. There's nothing going on outside of your area in Muzdalifah, right? Just like Arafah, any place in Muzdalifah is as good as the next. Stay with the group, stay with the tribe. There's nothing outside of our area that is of spiritual or logistical value. So stay with the pack. Now, in terms of departure, there are 2 departures from Muzdalifah for Mina, right? The first after and the second is after Fajr. After midnight, of course, the sunnah is to stay until after Fajr for those who can. For those who have a special circumstance, for the elderly, for the ill, for women, for children, there will be a departure that leaves earlier. So this is just after midnight. Oops. Yeah, and I think one more important thing to say here is it's truly 2 departures. It's not a continuum. It's if you miss the midnight or early morning departure, there isn't anything between that and then after Fajr, right? So when you make a decision, you will kind of commit to it. There isn't going to be an option at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning to say, all right, I'm ready to head to Mina. So think carefully about it and let your group leader know, and then inshallah we will support you in that decision. So right now I'm going to go over kind of the return to Mina and the Tawaf al-Ifada for the non-shifting packages. So non-shifting again, these are the folks that have their hotel rooms who during manasik still have their hotel rooms waiting for them in Mecca. So we will be using air-conditioned buses between Mina and the Haram for Tawaf al-Ifada all the way through the end of Hajj, right? So in terms of returning to Mina, on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, as you're leaving Muzdalifah, we will head to the Rami al-Jamarat, and we will throw, inshallah, the Jamara al-Aqaba in the morning, and then we will then transfer you to your hotel in Mecca. And when you get to your hotel in Mecca, you can shower, you can change, you can do what you need to do over there. And of course, you may, which is preferred, to perform your tawaf al-ifada while you're there, since you're already there. And then you would have completed kind of the last pillar of Hajj. And then it's important to know that before Maghrib, you need to return to Mina camp. So again, on the 10th, on the day of Eid, you're going to throw your jamarat, you're going to head to Mecca, you're going to, do what you need to do in your hotel room. You will, inshallah, complete your tawaf al-ifada that day, and you will also head back by bus to to Mina, sorry, before Maghrib. Now for the non-shifting packages, um, Sorry, there we go. For the non-shifting packages, this is for I just did the non-shifting packages. Sorry. There we go. And so for the non-shifting packages, on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, we will perform the Rami Jamarat. And inshallah, that will be the end of Manasik. So you would have done Jamarat on the, I'm sorry, I skipped a day here. I skipped a slide. So we talked about the 10th, which is the day of Eid. On the 11th, which is the day after Eid, you're going to return to your hotel early in the morning, sometime after midnight, if you'd like. You will return to Mina again after Asr. You will perform Rami Jamarat, and you will stay overnight in the Mina camp. Now, the order of these things, there's some flexibility here. If you stayed the night in the Mina camp, obviously you can start by throwing your Jamarat and then heading to Mecca. And if you choose to stay in Mina without Mecca at all, if you've completed your Tawaf al-Ifada, that's also fine. So for those who did not, those who did complete their Tawaf al-Ifada, they have a choice to spend the entire day in Mina and just go throw Jamarat and go back to their camp, or if they so they can also go back to Mecca, spend the day in their room, but make sure to return back before midnight. Before Maghrib, sorry. And finally, on the last day of Hajj for the non-shifting packages, that will be the day of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. So you will be in Mina, and you will perform the Rami of Jamarat, and then, alhamdulillah, your manasik of Hajj is complete, and you will then return to your hotel in Mecca, and then you're done. And the rest of the day of the 12th is yours to spend as you please in Mecca. And the day of 13th is also a free day for you in Mecca to spend as you please. And on the 14th of Dhul Hijjah, which is June 20th, that is the day of departure from Mecca to Medina, inshallah. So you will receive some detailed instructions from your group leaders when your checked luggage will be picked up. It will be, again, much earlier than your checkout time. So you will pack those bags and you will leave them outside of your door according to the instructions you receive. And then you will go perform Tawaf al-Ifada, Tawaf al-Wada', sorry, in the Haram. And then you will wait for your transfer to the train station, because we will all be taking the high-speed trains from Mecca to Medina. And that will be, inshallah, the end of your time in Mecca, and inshallah, the beginning of your beautiful stay in Al-Madinah. The times for the trains, as far as I know, haven't been finalized yet. I think we are in those final stages, but they will be communicated to you once they are confirmed. Now for the shifting packages. So these are the folks who did not have a hotel room, who checked out of their hotel room on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, moved to Mina, and did not have a hotel room throughout the manasik. So as you are leaving Muzdalifah, inshallah, we will then head and perform the Rami al-Jamarat al-Aqaba in the morning. And then we'll head to Mecca for Tawaf al-Ifada. Again, that's going to be based on a bus schedule that will be dispatched the day of. So stay tuned for those details. You will have, inshallah, your group leaders with you. They will advise you of the timings of the drop-offs and the pickups. And we will have several of the group leaders and volunteers leading groups through that process. So then, of course, we're going to head to Mecca and we will complete the Tawaf al-Ifada. And then we will return to Mina camp. The details of how that dispatch happens and where do we meet in Mecca when we are done with our Tawaf al-Ifada, where do we gather, what time are the buses, all of that will be communicated to you then. I think the important thing here is that on the 10th, on the day of Eid, you'll perform, again, the Rami al-Jamarat. you will go for Tawaf al-Ifada, and then you will return to the Mina camp. Again, this is one of the very, very, very busy days, and so extensive delays are frequent. And this isn't just due to traffic on the road. This is also due to delays in traffic in the Haram itself, because you have all of these people trying to go do their Tawaf al-Ifada, and it gets so crowded that at times they just shut down the Haram and say, okay, it's closed. You just have to sit around and wait until, the congestion eases before they let people in. And then on the 11th and 12th of Dhul Hijjah, we'll be staying in Mina. Every day we'll be doing that long walk, that long, beautiful walk from the Jamarat, from the camp in Almuaisim to the Jamarat. That's about 45-minute walk each day. We'll have a schedule released for it, but it's, you can count on a good hour and a half to 2 hours of walking back and forth every day. And really, we spend those days in the tents mentioning Allah, remembering Allah, reading Quran, listening to the lectures, and just kind of celebrating what we've just done. And then finally, on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, there will be the final day of Ramil Jamarat. So we'll go in the morning, do that final long walk to the Jamarat. We will not return to Mina, so we will take our things with us. We will go to the Jamarat. We will do our final Rami, and then we will transfer to Mecca for Tawaf al-Wada. Now, for those of us who have carry-ons and backpacks, when we arrive to Mecca for Tawaf al-Wada, there will be a holding area, usually a ballroom or a rented space that we have at a hotel very near the Haram, that we will, after we throw the Jamarat, we will go and leave our bags there so that we can enter the Haram kind of free and clear, right, without any heavy bags, do our Tawaf al-Wada. We will return then to that hotel in Mecca, this ballroom or this staging area. We will collect our bags. That's also where we will collect our valuables. And then we, inshallah, will transfer to Medina on the high-speed trains, right? So I think we've gone over these bits of Al-Jamarat. Now, finally, the arrival into Medina. So for the shifting packages, we will be arriving a day earlier than the non-shifting packages. We will be arriving on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. So we arrive at the Medina train station. Again, you will have group leaders and representatives kind of directing you throughout this whole process. So to make sure that you get on the right bus going to the right hotel in Medina. And again, as always, keep your bags with you, keep your valuables with you. And for the non-shifting packages, your transfer will be happening on the 14th of Dhul Hijjah. For our hotels, we have 3 hotels that we'll be staying in. So if you look here, this main square here is Masjid al-Nabawi. This side over here, where you see the Crown Plaza on the bottom of the screen, the Crown Plaza and the Zamzam Pullman, this is the direction of the Qibla. This is Crown Plaza. This is Zamzam Pullman. And over here on the opposite side, we have the move and pick. All 3 of the hotels are, I'm talking like a 2-minute walk from the entrance to the courtyard of the masjid. So they're all very, 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 very close. I mean, the walk is even considerably shorter than your walk from your hotel in Mecca to the Haram. So then for our stays in Medina, which is, I know, either from the days 11 to 14, so either the 13th to the 17th or the 14th to the 17th, this is a time to really spend our as much time as we can in Masjid al-Nabawi, right? Same kind of direction around spending as much time as you can in Masjid al-Nabawi. Get familiar with, the easiest gate numbers to enter and exit from to get to your hotel. It's a very, very easy layout. And alhamdulillah, since all of our hotels are front row hotels, it's difficult to lose your way or get lost. There will be ziyaras, inshallah. Those details will be shared with you, but there will be a beautiful ziyarah trip that will take us, on buses to kind of the key sites in Uhud and Quba and all of these beautiful ziyaras in Medina. Um, and yeah, and I think the last thing is that you're going to have continued scheduled religious lectures in the hotel. Um, and as always, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is your best friend, and it is your lifeline to staying communicated in touch with everyone. And then finally, on the 17th of Dhul Hijjah, we'll be dispatching everyone to the airports based on your flight schedule. Um, and that is that. I think the last bit here is we get a lot of questions around Zemzem and dried dates and taking things like this home. Each pilgrim will receive a complimentary bottle of Zemzem. So it's a 5-liter bottle. It's one per adult. It's already pre-packed. The airlines are very familiar with them. You will receive it at the airport, so you don't have to lug it around with you in Medina. And it is free of charge to your first point of arrival. Different airlines handle that next connection. So if you have a domestic connection, they may handle it differently, but it's no charge to your first point of arrival. We get lots of questions around dates. Are they allowed? Yes, they are allowed. You want to make sure that it's packed and you want to declare them with customs. Okay, I think we've made it through here. Oops, let me open it back up. Do that. I think we can open it up for questions now. Assalamu alaikum. Do we have questions? Can you all hear me? Brother Ahmed,
Yes, I am.
can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. It just got really quiet. I was worried. I was looking at my connection saying, did I lose a connection here?
No, we have to open up the questions so people can ask questions. We have to enable that.
Yes.
You have the host, right?
It's
Privilege?
yeah, I mean, our questions are open. Are they not open?
No, there's no open questions at this time. You have
Yes,
to
but I'm saying,
enable it as a host so
what's
people
that?
can post questions. You have to enable it as a host so people can post questions.
Uh, I'm not seeing it as disabled. Do you see it as, are you able to ask a question? I don't see any questions. Is anybody having a problem posting a question? Brother Asad, can you try? Because I'm not seeing any questions posted and I'm not seeing it as blocked either. I see hands raised, but I don't see questions. So let me.
You don't see any option to actually turn it on
Um, let me
as a
see.
host? Okay, hold on a second.
Can we try again now? I mean, I refreshed it again. Okay, here, I see a first question come in. There we go.
Okay, so people can ask questions, and then after
Yes.
that, we'll give them a chance to upvote it. So to take a couple of minutes, folks, to actually put your questions in
Yes.
and view the questions. If it's a similar question, you can simply upvote it and we'll take them up, inshallah.
So in the interest of time, I'll actually just start answering them from the top.
Sure.
So first question, the separation of men and women are only in the sleeping areas. However, during manasik, my wife and I can be together, correct? Yes, that is correct. In Mina and in Arafah, and in Muzdalifah, the men areas are separate, but in all of those places, common spaces where you can be together.
And you,
The
sh-
next
and you
question
should be
is just
traveling
how.
together. You should be traveling together.
Yes, absolutely. Next question. My package has a train trip from Mecca to Medina. I think I need to catch a train to make it from Medina to Jeddah from my flight outside of the Haramain train package. Okay. Okay, you are asking about a difference in the luggage size requirements between the Haramain trains and the airlines. Uh, uh, I think I need to get back with you on that one. I've never personally had an issue. I've used the Haramain trains and used my international checked baggage. I've taken them on the trains and I've never had an issue with that. But let me just take note of it and get you an official answer. Here. Next, is there an option of staying the 13th day in Mina as per the Sunnah? Well, so for the shifting packages, you will be staying the 13th night, and for the non-shifting packages, Ahmed, I'll actually defer to you on that. For the non-shifting packages, do they have the option of staying in Mina on the night of the 12th, such that they go back to Mecca on the 13th?
They can, because they're not going to Medina till the 14th.
Correct.
Okay.
But I just wanted to make sure that there isn't any issue in,
Nope.
yeah,
No,
okay.
they have to make their way to the camp, to the hotel in Mecca, though.
Correct. Correct. But they will have space and they can stay in that space in,
Yep.
in
Yep, the space remains.
Very good. Is there laundry service in Mina camps? No. Hotels, yes. I'm flying back to my home in Jeddah. How can I travel from Medina to Jeddah? Um, uh, there are many ways to get. I think the most convenient way to get from Medina to Jeddah is the train. Again, if the service provider has booked your flights, if they booked it for you home from Jeddah, then they should be responsible for getting you to your place of departure. However, if not, then the easiest way I find is the train, is to book a train. And if not a train, then that can also be done by flight or by taxi. I would suggest talking to your group leader about your specific kind of times and circumstance. Do we know our group leaders yet? I'm sorry. Let me go to the next one here. Where is the luggage stored once you take it? Is it in Azizaya? We are told that it'll be in Azizaya. Yes, I believe that luggage storage is in Azizaya, but Brother Azhar or Ahmed, you
No,
can confirm.
if you're going to Medina next in a shifting program, then your luggage is going to be in Medina. So whatever you pack for Mina, you will end up using that until you arrive in Medina to your hotel on the 13th of Zulhijjah.
Correct. But is it stored in, huh?
It's not accessible.
Yep.
It is shipped to Medina.
Okay, got it. Do we know our group leaders yet? You will get acquainted with them shortly.
Very soon, yes.
Yeah,
Inshallah.
yes. And you asked if you'll know before you go to Jeddah. Yes, inshallah, you will before you go to Jeddah. If we opt to stay for the 13th of Hajj, will transportation be set up to Mecca? Yes, inshallah. Because we have other folks. What is included in the complimentary packet, like umbrella, etc.? I think that was sent out to the group chat. We can have it resent. Oh, wow. There's a lot of questions here. We have still 27.
So can I take
So
on some
they
questions?
said, sure. I'm reading this one. It says, Salam for AB 1000. When is the Adhiyah happening, and how will we get that confirmation? I believe the position of the scholars is you assume that it's done. You assume that it's done by the time you do the Ramil Jamarat. Isn't that correct, Brother Ashar?
It's not a requirement that it has to be done in sequence. If you're looking for a
Yeah.
requirement, it has to be done in sequence and you're waiting for them to notify you. I don't think they have any plans to notify you because I don't think they know the sequence. There's a famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that in which he had companions come to him and tell them, ask him if they, because they had done it in out of sequence. And every one of them, he says, there is la haraj, it doesn't matter. So if you're saying, no, I must do in sequence, I cannot come out of ihram without doing a sacrifice, then I believe you have to make your own sacrifice arrangement because as a service provider will not be telling us exactly when the sacrifice is done.
Yep. Yep. I got a question. Once you're in Mina and Arafah, can you go back to your hotel? Well, if you are in a non-shifting program and you have a hotel, you can go back to your hotel, but not on the 8th or the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, right? Once you make that move to Mina on the 8th, nobody goes back on the 8th to Mecca or on the 9th, right? The first time you'd go back is on the 10th. It says, for the non-shifting package, can you stay in the camp or do you have to return to the hotel? Can you explain the itinerary for the non-shifting package again? It was not clear. For the non-shifting packages, yes, you always have the option of staying in the camp and not returning to the hotel. You don't have to go back, but a lot of people find it convenient since they're already going back to Mecca for Tawaf al-Ifada. They find it convenient to have access to, their hotel room, right? Because for sure, the non-shared, the private bathroom and having your bed and having access to the hotel is a plus. You don't have to go though, but you do have access to it. Are there bathrooms in the buses as the ride could last several hours? Yes, there are bathrooms on the buses. They are very small bathrooms, but they do have bathrooms. So I see a different entrance for the women in the Medina Mosque. I'm at the Zamzam Pullman. Is this accessible to the women's entrance? It is. However, the Zamzam Pullman is on the closest women's entrance is on the other side of the masjid. So it's a bit of a walk. I would say it's about a 10-minute walk, a 10 or 12-minute walk from Zamzam Pullman to the women's entrance. But of course, it is accessible. It's just a bit of a longer walk. Say what time bus from Mina to hotel drop off and pickup time for non-shifting. The specific times of the buses will be determined and communicated on the day of, according to dispatch.
Let me answer this question here. I'm leaving from Medina on 21st. Can someone drop me to the HHR station? Well, you will already be in Medina, right? This program is Makkah First. So you will already be in Medina. So I'm not so sure why you want to be dropped to the station. You just have to go from your hotel to the airport. If you're saying I want to go separately to Medina earlier because my flight is on the 21st, earlier than the group, then you have to make that own arrangement. You have to make your own arrangements. The arrangements made to go to travel to Medina is done by the service provider as a group, not on an individual basis.
So I'm
You did
seeing
not
another.
mention if we'll be able to go to Azizia during our Mina days. Azizia is accessible to you in terms of the fact that you want to go during the Mina days to Azizia, but I'm not so sure that you can get there because of the distance between where the building is and where your camp is, because transportation is not part of it. The transportation is completely shut down in the valley during the days of Hajj. So while yes, you have the ability to go there, and if you do go there, there's accommodation for you. But remember, you have to return back because it's required that you spend the night in Mina. So yeah, it's accessible to you, but the how to get there is up to you.
Okay. Um,
My family is in a different Al Burj program. Will we be together in the camps? Or men and women are separated? Are they in the same camp though? They're in a different program. But if they're in the other camp, which is the Majal al-Kabsh camp, obviously you're not going to be together. But if it's in the same camp, you'll be able to see each other in the same camp. Yes.
We have another question. It says, understandably, men and women stay in different camps. In Min Arafah, how do we coordinate with our female family members when we're ready to leave to the next destination? Well, so two things. One is your female family members, if they're in the same group as you, they will be receiving the same movement messages as you do from your group leader. So that's kind of the first level of how you coordinate that you're leaving to the next destinations together. But also, again, WhatsApp is your lifeline to your family and to your group. So WhatsApp is kind of the default answer on how do we stay in touch with anyone. I have a question here. It says, is there still an option of going directly from Arafah to Arafah from Mecca on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah for the non-shifting package? I believe the answer is no, but I will defer to Ahmed and Brother Azhar.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
Brother Ali, you asked the question. Your package is the Makkah First from June 10th, yes, to June 24th, but you'll be landing to Medina on June 10th, just past midnight. And the question is, will there be a way to get to Medina? If it is a custom flight, if you did it on your own, then we'll let you know what the options are to get there. But there is going to be you have to get there on your own with whatever the options are. If it is part and parcel of what has been booked by one of the service provider as a group flight, then they will provide you the transportation to get to Mecca.
I have a message here saying regarding cell connection, I paid for 2 SIM cards, which are included in the package. When will I get these? I saw a recent message from an admin in WhatsApp saying they won't be giving us any SIM cards. This message was confusing because we've already paid for the SIM cards. So I think the short answer here is if you paid for the SIM cards, you will get the SIM cards. But that is something that is being managed by the service providers. The SIM cards can only, you must have a fingerprint and a positive ID in order to receive a SIM card. So whether the service provider will be managing that process directly with you or taking you to the cell phone kiosks to get a SIM card is unclear to me at this point. But if you paid for SIM cards, you will receive the SIM cards. Did you have any further detail on that, Azhar?
I would say to you that a service provider is going to provide you the SIM card. We have to yet figure out with them when it will be given to you
Yeah.
and how it will be activated.
Yeah.
But that's still to be decided.
Yep. I think we have a question here. Jamarat on the 10th through 12th. 13th is optional as a question. So the way it's structured again is the non-shifting packages will have the option of staying the 13th, and the shifting packages will be throwing on the 13th.
Sister Nadia, your question is if you go to Medina on June 19th and a hotel check-in says June 20th, where will we stay on June 20th? So I know that those who are going there early and it's taken by the service provider on the 13th, then they will have their accommodation starting on the 13th.
It says, can I put Zemzem in checked? Because upon arrival, the Zemzem looks like stolen. Yes, Zemzem is checked. The large bottles of Zemzem are checked with the airlines, and they do not count them as a piece of checked luggage.
But I think the question implies, can you put them in the suitcase? The answer is no. If you put it in the suitcase is scanned.
I see.
If there's liquid found in there, they will set it aside. So you cannot put Zamzam or any liquid in the suitcase.
Yeah. But one thing that you can do is at the airport, they have these large plastic bags that you can have them put your box of Zemzem in, and they seal the bag, and then you can, creatively decorate your bag or write your name in large, colorful letters to help distinguish it from others. Let me see here.
So Asiya, you asked the question, once you're in Mina and Arafat, can you go back to your hotel? If you have a non-shifting package and you have your hotel in Mecca, yes, the question is that of timing. That timing is unknown as to how you can get to the hotel after you come back from Muzdalifah. Obviously need to go back to the hotel, but as far as the timing bus schedule is concerned, that is to be determined by the Ministry of Hajj, and that is unknown at this time.
Brother Asar, can you answer? There's a question here that says, in shifting packages, what day will we stay in Aziziyah since we paid for Aziziyah stay?
Aziziyah is available during the manasik of Hajj for you. If you want to go there and spend some time, normally people say they want to stay there, but since we're taking you out on the 13th of Dhul-Hijjah, taking you out of Mina on the 13th of Dhul-Hijjah, normally what happens, it would have happened is that you would have gone to Aziziyah at the end of Hajj and stayed there overnight and come and go from there to make Tawaf al-Wada and then from there to Medina. But if they're taking you out directly on the 13th of Dhul-Hijjah, then they will take you straight from the camps in Mina into a designated area where you can leave your carry-on that you have had with you in Mina, go and make Tawaf al-Wada, and then you come back, pick up your valuables that you may have deposited with us, and then you head to the train station and get to Medina. By the way, the advantage of this is that you will really enjoy Medina the first 2 or 3 days, because you'll be in Medina when Hajj is still just about over, and you'll be the first ones to arrive, so Medina will be relatively empty. So Aziziyah is not going to be used in that sense. It is available to you if you can get there to rest during the day, because the evening must be spent in overnight as required by the requirement from a Sharia perspective in Mina, at least half the night. And so when you come back, just picture this: you come back from Muzdalifah, and now you want to go to Aziziyah to shower and change. You can't. You just have to get there on your own. Make sure you come back, because next thing you'll be concerned with is, how do I go and make Tawaf al-Ifada? And that, as was mentioned by Brother Sharif, you'll have schedule. They'll be developed either late that day, same day, evening, or the next day. You'll be taken to a drop-off area where you're going to go and make Tawaf al-Ifada, come back to the same area, and brought back to Mina. So there is no Aziziyah to go to at this time. But if you still want to, the next day to go to Aziziyah for a few hours and come back, because you must spend the nights in Mina, then you can. But as soon as Hajj ends, you're going to go straight to Makkah, do your Tawaf al-Wada, and then to the train station.
I have a question here that says, I have a group flight with layover in Dubai. Does Dubai airport have ihram changing areas besides bathrooms? Based on your past experience, they do have ihram changing areas. They also have very clean bathrooms, but they do have ihram changing areas, and they do have musallas, prayer areas that also function well as ihram changing areas.
Okay, so Umaira, for non-shifting package, can you stay in the camp or do you have to return to the hotel? Can you explain the itinerary for the non-shifting packages once again? So I can tell you that if you want to stay in the camp, even though you have hotel accommodation, you absolutely can. You just have to pack accordingly, right? You have to take your roll-on bag with 2 or 3 change of clothes because you're going to stay in the camp. If you're going to come back to the hotel, you're going to probably travel even lighter, but you can. But as far as saying, I want to go to the hotel, that schedule is yet to be determined. It's not to be determined by the service provider, it's determined by the Ministry of Hajj and conveyed to the service provider that I have few folks that will be on the day of Eid, want to go from the camp to the hotel and then come back later on because they must spend the night in Mina and then again they're going to go back. So that schedule is yet to be determined, in which case you can do either. Assalamu alaikum. I'm in Mawasim 003 shifting package. You mentioned 7th of Zulhijjah, you'll check out at Asr, then enjoy Haram. You'll also mention we don't have leave until after Isha. After dinner, does that mean we'll take our carry-on back to Haram between Asr and Isha? I can tell you that you cannot take any bags into the Haram. Normally what it means is that you'll actually check out of your room and your carry-on bag will be kept in an area that we will designate. Everybody's bag will be there and somebody will be there to look after those bags and you'll be without the bags and you'll be free to go to the Haram or rest or go somewhere until after you're ready to go and into Mina. You don't and you cannot take the bag into the Haram.
Okay.
So the same question, what time bus from Mina to hotel drop off? Is the schedule yet to be developed by the ministry? And only once we have that schedule can we tell you that. Especially from Almuaisim camp, right? Especially from the camp.
So we have another question. So we have no access to our luggage after we leave Mecca in shifting. Are we able to do so to our Aziziyah hotel? No, as Brother Azhar said, when you check out of your Mecca hotel, you will reunite with your bags in Al-Madinah. So you will not have access to your checked bags until you arrive in Medina.
Assalamu alaikum. Our departure flight is from Jeddah. How do we get there? If it is a flight, if it's a group flight organized by the service provider will make arrangements for you to get there. If it is not a group flight provided by service provider, you've arranged it yourself, then we're working with the service provider to give you the options that you can then select, and you probably have to make your own arrangements or pay for that travel to Jeddah. Or alternatively, you can make your own arrangements at the end of Hajj to actually travel to Jeddah. So once we have info from service provider, what happens to people like yourself ending in Medina and going from Jeddah, what are the options? We'll be able to give you more clarity on that. You cannot make any bookings anyway if you are going to use the train straight into the airport in Jeddah, because that booking will not open for at least 1 or 2 weeks before departure time, before train departure time.
I have a question here. We arrive in Jeddah on the 11th. We still have to go through customs. Okay, we probably arrive around Fajr on the 12th. How does this affect doing Umrah if the group will be doing Umrah on the 10th and the 11th? You are likely not alone in that situation, and we are looking at, this group, right, on the group that we're talking to now on the call. There's about 350 people. And so we will, inshallah, be making accommodations for a rolling schedule of Umrah on the 10th, 11th, and 12th, inshallah. We are looking at...
Yusuf, your question is, I have 2 full-size suitcases and carry-on. Will I be able to take them with me when transferring from Mecca to Medina on the trains? Remember, we're going to actually pick up your suitcase from your hotel in Mecca before you go to Mina. You will not have it with you. It will be transferred by us to Medina. You will not take the suitcase with you. Only take those things that you had with you in Mina to go on the train. The suitcase will be transferred much earlier to your hotel in Medina. As far as the second part of your question is concerned, your package ends in Medina and your flight is from Jeddah. Again, if it is a group flight arranged by the service provider, they will provide you the transportation, including your luggage. If it is something that you arranged on your own, then I can tell you that if you're going to the airport, they will allow 1 pieces. Otherwise, you may have to take ground transportation to get there.
Will there be laundry service at the hotels? If so, then how much? It's expensive. Yes, laundry at the hotel is expensive, but there are also a lot of independent laundry providers that will be handing out their cards in the lobby to the hotels. They actually do a pretty good job. I mean, obviously there's a smaller, a greater level of risk in there because you're not doing it with a hotel, but it's about a quarter of the price. They'll pick up your laundry, they will do it, and they will deliver it back to your hotel. Talk to your group leader about that. The safest way is to do it with the hotel. Yes, it's at a premium. There are cheaper, riskier ways to do it.
Sister Ruby, I can tell you what my wife does when she goes over there. She buys the powder from Bin Dawood's store. And so for her undergarments, she actually does the washing in the bathroom and she hangs it up there to dry. It dries pretty quickly. And she basically will take enough clothes that will last her for the trip. Basically, that's what she does. But the rest of the undergarments, she will wash it. Some of the lighter clothes, she'll wash it herself because it really doesn't get dirty. It's more like perspiration, all that, and just it's a very light wash. But you do have laundry service in the hotel, and they are expensive.
So we have a question from Sister Jamila here. I'm very confused about the whole system. Is it possible to take things step by step as we're going? Okay, we need more clarification about wheelchair use, please, and when will they be used? You will have, this is not the last session that you will have that goes over the itinerary and the logistics. There will be more, so hopefully you will hear this a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth time. You will also have, you'll be introduced to your group leader soon, where anything that still remains unclear, you can ask them. In terms of the wheelchair, there was a message that was sent to the community, to the group chats with all of the details and how to manage that. So I would suggest going back and taking a look there. If you're not part of the community for some reason, you are not part of the WhatsApp group, please reach out to us and we'll both add you and send you that wheelchair message again. But I do believe that it went out to everyone. There's a question here about visiting the Rawda. It is unclear at this point how that would be arranged. In some years, they use the Nusuk app, which is they use the Nusuk app to actually book slots, but obviously those get filled very quickly. There's also there are times where they open up the Rawda for group bookings, but that still is not clear how it's going to work. But that is top of mind for a lot of folks, and we are working on it, and we will let you know once there is any clarity on Rawda visits.
You want to take one or two questions and call it and end it, please?
Let's see. Let's see. It's hard to pick because nobody's upvoting, so I'm trying to look at the ones that are upvoted, and it's let's see. I got this one. We had a lot of questions about the package ending in Medina and a flight back from Jeddah, but I think you answered that one very comprehensively, Brother Ashar. So that applies to all of these questions.
So the question about men and women in different camp, and you want to coordinate with your female family members, or female family members wants to coordinate with the male family members, you should always have your phone with the data plan and should be able to connect with each other through private messaging on WhatsApp. We definitely encourage that the family definitely should be together when they're going from point A to point B. We don't want the wife to say, I don't know where my husband is, don't worry about it, he'll get there, or the vice versa. I think you not make sure that you actually always going to be together when you're traveling from point A to point B, whether it's Mina to Arafat or Muzdalifah or back to Mina. So again, you need to coordinate, and your group leader will help you and will not move the group, if you will, until everybody in his group has all of the family members together.
Yeah. There's another question here. about a Mecca First package that arrives on June 10th, but you'll be landing in Medina. And you want to know if there's a way to get into Ihram on the way to Mecca. Yes, when you land in Medina, I would suggest in the airport, before you take whatever mode of transportation they are using, whether it's a train or a bus from Medina to Mecca, you change your clothes and put on your Ihram. That's for the males, of course, in the Medina airport. So there will be a space, and that is the right place to do it. You don't need to do it on the plane.
Of course, you don't need to do on the plane. Also depends on when exactly are you going to be transferred from Medina to Mecca, and if you have time. So anywhere between in Medina, after you land in Medina, you can change into the ihram garment and make the intention before or at the miqat. If you're going by bus, the bus will drive by the miqat. If you're going by train, then you should make the intention before the train departs the station, because the miqat is only 5 minutes away as such. But as far as the other part of the question is to show you how to wear ihram, I think that you need to actually understand how to do it and practice it beforehand. The ihram for those who are in Makkah First will be provided here before you depart, because you need to be in ihram. As to how to do it, a tremendous amount of videos are available. I'm sure it'll be covered in one of the monastic sessions, and so you should be able to practice that here. But don't expect that somebody over there will show you how to do it at that time.
There's a question here: how long do you have to stay in Muzdalifah? So at minimum,
Please, over.
sorry, I lost everyone there for a moment. Brother Azhar, are you still with us? Can you still hear me, Brother Azhar? Can anyone hear me? Ahmed, Ibtisam, can anyone hear me? Looks like I'm having a choppy connection. I can't tell if folks can. Okay. Okay. People can hear me. All right. We'll continuing. I'll try to answer a few more. I know that we are already almost 25 minutes over. Question: on the 10th of Hajj, on the 10th of the Hajj, are we transported from Muzdalifah directly to Jamarat? Or do we go to Almuaisim camp first and then walk 1 hour to Jamarat? What we would advise is to go to your camp first and then walk to Jamarat. There is a bus shuttle service that we will use to go from Muzdalifah to Almuaisim, and you will probably then drop off your things there in Almuaisim before you then go on to do your Jamarat.
It's almost 7:55, Brother Sharif. Can we
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we'll take one more here. Go ahead.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, it says, once you're in Mina and Arafah, can you go back to your hotel? Is there a shuttle? As we said, on the 8th and the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, there is no option to return to your hotel. But on the 10th through the end, for those who have a hotel room who are in the non-shifting package, you are able to go back to your hotel. And there is a shuttle as long as there are folks going to do their tawaf al-ifada. So on the 10th and the 11th and the 12th, there are shuttles. And I think we are well over time here. So Jazakumullah khair for being so patient and listening to us. I know that there are some of the questions that we didn't get a chance to answer. I will note them down, and inshallah, please, for those who didn't have questions that were answered, take note of those. I will also take note of them and try to have the group leaders answer them for you directly. If you do have to ask them again, please be patient with us, and inshallah we will have answers for you in the next couple of days. Jazakumullah khair, Brother Ashar, Brother Ahmed, Ibtisam, does anyone have anything else they would like to add before we close?
No, go ahead.
Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد جزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.